Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's game is the semi-final in the Chinese National Go Championship between Xie Ke 9P and Xiaoyu 9P. Xie Ke is playing as black and Xiaoyu is playing as white. What's really interesting about both players is I think neither has won a world championship. They have been runner-ups for multiple times, both of them. And I guess at some point it just becomes a psychological issue. Like your skills are there, but you just can't get it. I hope they win one soon. White plays the high approach, and black plays the two-space low pincer, which is one of the most complex Joseki. It's complex for black, but it's also complex for white. It puts a lot of pressure on both players. So today, for my viewers who want to avoid complication, because obviously when you play the best move, which is the Kema, then black is going to attach and cut, and then you have no choice but go into very complex variations. But for my viewers who want to dodge that and just play simple, my recommendation is for you to just attach at the 3-3. If black plays the lower Hane variation, then white is going to extend, and black plays the tiger's mouth. And I find a lot of my viewers struggle with this position as white, which is very understandable because, I mean, white doesn't have any roots, white is pincered, so white has to run for a very long time and looks very painful. How do we deal with this? Well, let's clarify that today. White's correct move is to threaten black first, right? We were in trouble. We want to play efficient move to put pressure on our opponent. Black plays the Kosumi, obviously, and here white used that rhythm to jump over here, right? Instead of fighting locally, which is not going to work for white because white is broken into pieces, we strengthen ourselves first. We put pressure on this stone. If black plays somewhere else, then we can push, and we can see we basically pierce through black's moyo, which black cannot really allow. The correct move is for black to block here and protect the moyo. The next book move is for us to play the Kema here, trying to enclose black's corner. Black here has to play very accurately. If black just push, then we can block. If black cuts, then we can Atari and then block. We can see black has no choice but to save the two stones, and here white can simply jump towards the center. Now the result of this is that this is a leading game for white because black didn't play correctly here, right? Which allowed white to get like influence towards the left side while dragging the group out. So black can never attack this group and black has to deal with the moyo. Black cannot accept this result. Here, it's very important for your opponent to make such a mistake, even the high down level players, if they haven't prepared enough. The Tsuji here is for black to attach. We can see this is a way better move. If white drag the stone out, then obviously we can, well, first of all, we can pierce through here and then come back and connect on the second line. So this doesn't really hurt black. Of course, if white now extends, then we can just block on top. We can see when you cut here, then obviously this exchange is terrible for white because white can just extend outward, right? So the left side influence is gone, and this is kind of like a losing position for white. So white cannot do anything temporarily because of the brilliant Tsuji that black has. So here white needs to Hane here. Black Hane, and white now blocks. This is a very good move, right? If we just keep playing in the center, then we don't really have a root. This is a rock solid move that protects our eye space. Black doesn't want to really Atari because this only helps white fix the weakness and create two weaknesses for black. So black's correct move is to patiently extend on the second line, right? This is all book moves that you kind of need to remember if you want to play this Joseki. White double Hane, for the same reason black doesn't want to play either Atari to strengthen white, so black simply extends towards the top, and white now fixes the weakness. And at this point, black turns. It looks like black has a giant piece of territory, but actually that's just our feeling, right? It's not really true because first of all, white has ways to invade the corner. If black plays the tiger's mouth, then we can clamp. Black extends, we extend up. Black connects the start point, and we can play the Kema to get out. That's the first way we can destroy black's territory. Now we don't have to destroy black's territory. We can just play something like this. Black protects the territory, then we can attach. Black extends, we Hane, black plays the tiger's mouth, and now we can just block like this. We can see the result of this is that, yes, black has a lot of territory, but they're limited, right? They won't increase anytime soon. And now we can build on our left side. Remember, Go is a global game, right? We still have 2 star points on the outside. It's time for us to build instead of trying to, overthink about, the amount of territory that black has over here. Still equal position moving forward. So this is how you should play as white if you don't know how to deal with black's two-space pincer. Of course, a lot of my viewers are like, yeah, but I know something else. There's something called black and honey on the outside, and this causes a lot of problems for white. That is true. This is a very vicious trick that black can play. When black plays the outer honey, we cut at the start point. Black Atari, white extends, and black also extends. So today's video is a full game commentary. It's not really a trick video. I love to spend 10 minutes talking about this trick, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to state a conclusion as to how you want to deal with this. So the correct move is for white to jump over here. It's very important to remember this. Otherwise, you will go into fights here and you'll get tricked by black. The correct way to solve the problem is to jump on the fourth line. Now, the correct move for black to play is to block at the 2-2 and just kill the corner. White Atari, black connects, and white now blocks on the outside. And that's the end of the variation. Because of liberty problems, black cannot really push and cut, right? Because, you have liberty issues. So white is connected, which means white successfully dragged the group out and formed some influence towards the left side. And black got a very solid corner. So the result of this is that this is actually a slightly better position for white, right? Because, at the end of the day, what black played is still a trick. So, so white is slightly better when white plays properly, right? That's how you deal with this trick. Now, some of my viewers were wondering, what if black pushes out, right? Like, this is something to worry about, of course. But this is actually black falling into white's trick. Because now, white can honey. Black honey, white can double honey. It looks white is playing crazy. How can white even play like this? So many cutting points. But the moment black decides to counterattack, that's where black is really falling into a trap. Because now, white's not going to block and allow black to play the double Atari. White now has an extension. And that's really the highlight of this trick that white is doing now. When white plays the extension, this is looking at the Atari. So black has to save this stone, right? Whatever, black has to do whatever it takes to save the stone here. White can simply extend. Black Atari, white connects, and black obviously cannot do the Atari here because then we Atari and then capture this whole group, and that's game over. So either black connects or tiger's mouth, doesn't matter. So white, let's say black connects over here. Then white is going to Atari and capture the stone, right? As long as we can ladder the stone, this means that our left side is super strong. And this is just not a great position for black, right? Because black now, pretty much has to spend another move inside his territory or else white's going to cause problems. So we can see that even if we spend another move on the outside to get rid of any ladder breaker, we can see this is just a better position for white. Black has a very confined corner and we have very strong influence. This explains to you why black doesn't want to push here. Black can only block at the 2-2, right? Remember Atari and block, and that's the end of the variation. White is slightly better, and you're good to go. All right, so none of this happened. The reason I spend so much time talking about this is because I know a lot of my viewers struggle with this, with this variation. They don't know what to do, so I'm just presenting a very simple and easy to remember variation that can help you reach equality. In the actual game, white chooses the most complex variation. Black plays detach, white blocks, and black cuts. And obviously here, white cannot just ladder. If you ladder, black Atari, you capture, and I just connect underneath. The result of this is a better position for black. Black has a lot of territory, the stones are efficient, and what is white stone over here doing, right? It's a terrible stone, and it's just not great. It doesn't help the eye space. It's probably hurting the eye space at this point. So because of that inefficient stone, white cannot choose this variation. In the actual game, white extends down, and we have the very famous two-space low pincer, super hyper aggressive, hyper complex variation. Black extends up, and we have this famous shape. White plays the Kosumi, black plays the Keima. The reason black plays the Keima is if you don't play that, white's going to pierce through like this. When you try to push, then white can extend and connect with the group, and black is broken into pieces. So the Keima is a must-play move. And now white chooses the variation of jumping towards the corner. Here there are two other variations. One is the one that I spend a lot of time to talk about in my tricks. That is to jump on the second line. The other one is to play the Keima. When black blocks, white plays this really ugly looking empty triangle just to try to kill black. This is also a very ferocious variation. If black doesn't know what to do here, black can, be in trouble very soon. All right, in the actual game, white jump at a 2-2. That's also one of the main variations. Black plays the Kosumi, and white hops out. Alternatively, black can also play the Keima. The problem with the Keima is white can attach. Now here, black cannot just turn here, right? The shape is terrible. So what black needs to do is to bump into white. White plays the tiger's mouth, black Atari, white connects, and black plays a Keima. We can see the idea is to sacrifice. When white cut, black can simply jump on the outside and make sure black encloses white. I personally really like this position as black, actually, because I'm an influence player. So I highly recommend to my viewers who love to play influence. Of course, this is an equal game moving forward.
Hope you're enjoying the content so far. If you want to support my work and unlock exclusive member videos, including Joseki lessons, advanced tricks, and even full multi-hour courses, check out the YouTube membership or Patreon. Links are in the description. Thanks so much. Let's continue.
In the actual game, black didn't want to give up the 2 stones and plays the Kosumi. White now pierces through black's formation. Black pushes, white pushes, and black cuts, all forced. And at this point, white comes back and prevent black from playing the tiger's mouth. And this gives white more breathing room. And this corner is looking a lot more solid. But of course, black is going to play the Keima to get out. White pushes on top, and here black plays the Hane on the 4th line. I personally think this is a very hard to manage move. And I think what black should have played is to extend on the 3rd line. I have no idea whether Xie Ke has studied this variation at all. From what I see later on in the game is that he probably didn't study this part before he chose to play 2-space low pincer. Here, if black just extends, then white is going to push on the 4th line. Black obviously has to save the 3 stones in the center, so black needs to play Kosumi. White extend, black plays the Keima, and that's still a very chaotic fight. I think this is probably the correct variation. I'm not an expert in this line, so I'm just saying what the commentator was saying, right? He's a professional, and he's not even sure what's going on here. He didn't study with AI thoroughly either. This just shows you how complex the 2-space low pincer is. All right, in the actual game, black plays the Hane, and white cuts. Black extends up, and this looks very aggressive. White plays the peep in the center. Black obviously has to save the 3 stones, and here white simply Atari. And this is already looking very difficult for black. Black extends down, white keeps pushing, and black turns. White blocks. Here black cannot just capture. If you capture, I can Atari, and then extend and kill the corner. We can see that black shape is terrible here. This amount of compensation is not going to compensate for what white gained over here. So at this point, black extends out, making sure the Moyo on top is protected. And at this point, white extends out, and this is looking quite hopeless for black locally, right? If I was playing as black, I might just not feel like continuing the game because I know that I have to crawl on the 2nd line forever. So this is exactly what happened, and it shows you how fatal your mistakes can be when you're playing the 2-space low pincer. It's such a sharp Joseki that if you make one misstep, it could mean the end of the game. Here, white blocks. That's a very aggressive move, forcing black to play another move to live. Black cuts first, white extends, and here black decides to connect back. But obviously, this tactically doesn't work very well because white attaches on top first, and then white throws in. Black cannot live anymore, right? Previously, if black just extend, then black can at least live this chunk. Of course, black is going to suffer the loss over here. But black got really greedy here and just connect through. After an exchange, white decides to throw in and just kill the whole thing. Black Atari, white connects, and black plays the tiger's mouth, making sure white cannot cut here. And now white captures the stone over here, connecting the group back home, and also this move kills the entire black group over here. We can see that because Xie Ke didn't study the 2-space low pincer thoroughly, he actually just collapsed. And yeah, that's just what happens when you play 2-space low pincer. Even for professionals, it's an instant knockout, right? So it's really important if you want to play a complex Joseki, you should probably study that before. Okay, so at this point, black turns over here. That's a must-play move to make sure at least black protects the Moyo. But we can see this whole thing is a disaster. Everything here just died for black. White now connects. Otherwise, black is going to Atari and revive the group. So here, black extends the stone out. White jumps in the center. Black plays the attach. White extends. The reason white cannot play the Hane is that this is a very obvious mistake because black can clamp. When you push, black Atari and then block. And then this is game over for white. So white has to absolutely just extend, making sure there's no weakness. Black plays the Keima. White pushes out. Black trying to seal white. White says, absolutely not. You cannot seal me inside. Black connect and white connects. Looks like black can seal, but then white says, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes to not get sealed inside. Black connects, white turns, and we can see black gives up on that idea, letting white Atari and come out. The result of this is absolute disaster for black. This is probably the first time I see a professional game where a player just got completely destroyed in a complex Joseki. Yeah, I've seen a few like flying knife Josekis before between professionals, and I've never seen such a collapse. This is just like black kind of instantly lost the game in here, right? We can see that this whole thing just died. That's like 50 plus points, and then this group is actually not that strong. All what black has is like a chunk over here, and how is black gonna fight against white? All right, let's see what happens. Black now blocks over here, making sure his group's okay. White Hane. Black turns, that's a Sente, and then black plays the Hane, trying to hold himself together. White connects, and black extends on the second line. Here, white needs to answer in the corner, because that's a Sente. And at this point, despite all the weaknesses that black has, black decides to go for all in, because he knows this game is so gone. He had to play something crazy and say, this is my territory. White invades, and this is a very classical invasion problem. Black caps white on top, and here Xiaoyu decided to not go for the gamble. Instead, he just plays a move over here, right? So even if black spends another move to capture white, it's not going to be enough to compensate for everything that white has. So black still plays very aggressive, trying to enclose the corner and try to kill the white stone. White plays the Keima, and black now plays the approach. So at this point, white's idea is to give up the stone here because he already has so much territory on the outside. And white plays really safe by playing the kick. To me, I feel like the kick and the jump here might be the reason that allowed black to slowly come back into this game. I think a more active play, if I was playing as black, I would have tried to attack this group first, right? Because when you're playing against the top professional, it's very important to not loosen up, right? Even if you have a giant lead, this is probably a winning lead for white. Not probably. This is definitely a winning lead for white because black completely messed up here. What you should do is still, look at your opponent's weakness. Because when we clamp here, this whole thing is under threat. So when black connects, then we can jump. Black connects again, then we play the two-space extension. Not only we establish a group here, making sure black can never build here, but also we're threatening the life and death of black's group, which I really like this way of playing. Now let's see what happened in the actual game. In the actual game, Xiaoyu got a bit too happy and he plays the kick. Black now extend, but white jumps, and here we see a very nice move by black, right? This is the type of move you want to play when you're behind, is that this move not only encloses a bunch of territory, fix all your weaknesses, and it's just like a maximum efficiency move, right? The fact that white allowed this move was a problem because now this weakness becomes a wall and builds territory. Right? Just imagine your debt becomes savings all of a sudden, right? That's kind of scary. So white doesn't care. White is very ahead, so which is true, right? He plays the Hane Connect, and black plays the Tiger's Mouth. Now with this Tiger's Mouth, this is all solidified. And then white can't exploit the weaknesses here anymore, right? So I think this play is a little passive for white. Now at this point, black is slowly coming back a little bit into this game. Now, white decides to cause some problem here. Black plays the Tiger's Mouth. White also plays the Tiger's Mouth, trying to form a ko. White now pierces through. Black obviously has to extend, and here white makes a ko. Black takes, and white cuts. Black Atari, white takes, and here black uses another ko threat. White connects, black takes back, and white hops out. The idea is to sacrifice the group and just get some compensation on the outside. So before black tried to cut through, black's worried about the Kosumi here. So black decides to fix that in Sente by sacrificing a stone inside white's territory. So white got some profits over here, but black at least was able to cut white off in Sente. Black now pushes through, white takes, and black just connects. We can see that with this connect, white's group here is pretty much dead, right? Because white decides to take the profits on the outside. This means that, he's given up on this group. Okay, now white plays the Atari, black takes, white Atari, and black flip Atari. And we have another code breaking out. So they start to just play a few code threats. This is a code threat because if you take, then white is going to peep first. Absolute sente. Black has to take, and white plays a tiger's mouth. And good luck killing this group, right? This group looks very, very tough to kill. So it's an absolute code threat, actually. So when white plays the 2-space extension, black needs to immediately take the vital point. White takes back, and black now blocks. That's a sente, because otherwise black's going to live. So white kills the group, black takes back, and white peeps. Black connects, white takes back, black uses another code threat, white kills the group, black takes back, and white blocks. An absolute sente. Black has to kill, and white takes back. And at this point, black decides to go for this code threat, which is like almost 10 points in sente. But at this point, white decides to not, care about that group. White just plays the Hane and try to kill the entire black group. Black connects, that's an absolute sente. We're looking at the Atari here. So white spends another move. And at this point, black fishes all the double Ataris, and white extends out. We can see this ko is gone, right? There's no more ko, and white managed to kill the center over here. The result of this is black gained points over here, but then white is able to pierce through here and capture a lot of points that black has. So still a leading game for white. And the next move I really like. Xie Ke at this point is still behind. Not as behind as before because he managed to catch up quite a bit by protecting the territory here and also by killing white's dragon inside his territory. So here, yeah, he's really going for the maximum, right? He's trying to cause chaos. And at this point, I remember the commentators spent a lot of time talking about the next move, is that Tu Xiaoyu played the jump. And he said this is the reason why Tu Xiaoyu hasn't really won a championship yet, right? He's not a world champion yet because of this type of move. What white should have played is to block on the 4th line, right? Because when you have a winning game, it's very important for you to not drag yourself into chaos, and you should just play rock solid and try to win this game. If white blocks, then black plays the Kosumi, and white Kosumi at the Tengen. Black blocks, white extends, and black blocks. And at this point, maybe white can push one more time, and then push over here just to make this territory larger and win this game. Now let's see what happened in the actual game. White decided to jump out go for a counterattack, and black plays the attach. White Hane and black plays the tiger's mouth. And this started to look quite chaotic. So white Atari, black connects, and white connects. Black Atari, white plays the Keima to protect the territory. And at this point, black kicks, white connects, and black jumps towards center. We can see white's territory over here is just destroyed. And now white has to go for this type of move to come back in terms of territory. This really makes the game chaotic. Black jumps on the 3rd line to protect, and white extends. Black pushes on top, white plays the Keima looking at the cutting point, black connects and fixes the cutting point, white plays the Hane, black cuts, a very nice Tsuji, white has to extend, making sure like later on black has a cut here, but black doesn't have the time because white is trying to kill this group. So black turns, and white comes back and connect. Black plays the Keima. So at this point, we can see that through this fight, Xie Ke was, he managed to come back even more into this game. Because first of all, he broke all the territory here. Then he came back and played the Keima, making sure that territory in the center is also protected. So white didn't really gain much from this entire sequence, except maybe having a stone exchanging with black here. So white now plays the push, black blocks, white Hane and connect, right? White still has to spend moves to lift this group, and black plays the bamboo, completely securing the territory in the center and fixing the Aji, and white now plays the push. Black connects, and white pushes. So now they're at the endgame stage. White plays the Kosumi, black blocks, and white plays Hane connect. So Hane, black cannot play like this because there's a cut. So black plays the tiger's mouth. White Hane, black extends. So black had to extend, otherwise you cannot play this. This is more for double digit Q players because there's a typical Atari and then Atari here. I've actually seen one of my Patreon members having this mistake. So black extends. and white plays the push. Black cuts, and white Atari. And here black plays the tiger's mouth, that's a sente, and black comes back and fix this endgame. White obviously has the answer here, but before white answers, white decides to get a sente. This is absolute sente, and white now comes back and connect. Black blocks, white plays the kosumi, or the extension. This is the correct move. You play here, then black is gonna hane connect in sente. So white's move over here protects that hane connect. Black extends, and white now has to make sure that his group is alive. Black plays another endgame sequence, and white bumps into black. Black blocks, and white connects. Black hane connect, white hane, and black blocks over here. So now they're into the very endgame stage. Black bumps into black, white bumps into black. Black encloses the point, and they're just playing a bunch of 1-point sente move. So let's just quickly go through what they did. I don't think it really matters. At some point, white has to spend a move here, or else black has a peep and then kosumi here. It's going to cause some problems. So white spends a move inside his territory, and black just plays all the endgame at this point. Yeah, so black Atari, white connects, and then a lot of this are just 1 points or 2 points. Yeah, really nothing crazy. Yeah, it's at this point, right? Black connects, white connects. This is all like they're not even generating points. So we're at the very end of the game, and eventually this is Chinese rules. So basically, white won this game by 1 1/4 of a stone, right? So 1.25 stones, which is I think it's 2.5 points. We can see that throughout this game, the main topic is really what happened, on the bottom, where Xie Ke decided to play the 2-space low pincer. He thought he prepared more than his opponent. But then when he actually get into the Joseki, then he makes a fatal mistake, and then he just completely lost the game very early, which is kind of crazy. It shows you that these type of complex Josekis is not just confusing for us, but also for the top professionals like them. So if you want to use 2-space low pincer in your game, you have to be quite careful. We can see later on Xie Ke has played a lot of brilliant moves to try to catch up. He played very aggressive in the center. He managed to kill the group here. He also played very brilliant moves so that his weak group later on became territory. And also he tries to fight very hard in the center. But eventually what happened is you just play so many good moves, but you can't compensate for what you lost in one Joseki. That's unfortunate for him. And yeah, I would say Tu Xiaoyu, of course, played well, but I wouldn't say he played his best, right? The reason he won the game is just because of one Joseki. Later on, he did drag himself into chaos, and he could have played simpler and win this game in a safer way. But anyway, he won this game, and he's entering the final.